all the other tumuli had either gone or they're lost in the mist. No need to guess who does that. That'll be men. Now, if there's one thing I love about English land, and that's the soil creep. Okay, well, hi. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to have WES today. If you don't know what that is, it's wayward eyebrow syndrome. I will talk about that another time. I'm not coughing because I'm smoking, it's because I haven't spoken to anyone for a day. Okay, what we're doing today, or what I'm doing, and if you carry on watching you'll come with me, is that I'm going to explore an area where a couple of explore an area where a couple of ancient tracks cross, which in their vicinity, like in say a mile radius or even a mile diameter, there are over 30 barrows and at least 4 long barrows. Now if you look over there on that hill with the monument, that's Cheryl Hill, and on the other side of that is a white horse, and a bit further on, over maybe that way in the middle of the horizon and below, is Avebury. So without further ado, let's get walking. Okay, well it seems my timing could have been perfect. I haven't been filming for a little bit of this route because there's been lots of people go by, but if I tell you now, the route that we're on right now is called the Ridgeway, and it runs through Wiltshire, sort of at an angle across southern Britain. Now what we could have done is gone up there, but I'm not going to, because we need to see the Barrows. But what I'm going to do is have a look here. Please keep to the footpath. Oh, hello. I didn't know there was a footpath here. Okay, so we've got to traverse a muddy path. So you will excuse me while I shut the camera off while I do this. There is a reason for coming this way, and that is because I want to try and show you as many barrows as possible. So I better put this away. Now, this area is actually a nature reserve. But we're not going to go through it. See one of the aerials becoming covered in mist. That's what happens to me. If I only have one day to do something, that's what the weather does. But hey, you can sort of see some tumuli there on the top in the middle of the shot. There's 4, I think. Okay, so there's the tumulus and another one next to it. Now if we swing around here, see up on the top there, I'll take you to it. When I say take you to it, I meant a bit nearer, but there it is. Nothing special, that's why no one's that bothered, but they just do lie here, scattered around this area. Okay, and what we're on here, I mean, it's quite obvious if you look This is the Stike, built by King One, or King, yeah, I'm not sure, I don't know, I haven't researched any of this. I'm just, because I want to tell you what I know and what I've found out, not what I've read somewhere that's probably propaganda and lies. Okay, so anyway, that's that. So what I want to do is head down that way into, we'll go into the trees and we'll hit the ridgeway and we'll go that way round. There's a lot of dog walkers out today, but obviously when I get further away from where I've parked the van and the golf course, and people will disappear, and let's hope I don't. Well, if anyone's seen my dogging story, if I've got it up before, yeah, I've got it up, I've seen. This is where I walked in the moonlight before the incident happened. So yeah, so if you can imagine walking by this wood on an ancient track in the full moon, that's what I was doing. You see those Barrows on there? They're a sign of, they're a reaction against insect attack. They're called witches' knots by people, which I quite like. Barrows I quite like as well, because it reminds me of the guitar tune Beret. But yeah, they so you get an insect attack, and what happens is that messages get sent via chemicals down the tree, say we've been attacked, and what happens is groups of buds just start to sprout, and then the tree sort of recovers from the attack and they stop. I kind of think that's how it works. It's, you know, if it's not exactly that, it's something similar. But they're, you know, all these things that you see that are not bits of trunk and bits of branches, they're like additional growths. They're always due to something wrong, like an insect attack. So we've got a little way to go. I think, according to my calculations, it's about 6 miles I'm planning to walk, but it depends how easy it is underfoot as to whether I do it. And not just that, but if you saw my Secret Sights of Avebury video, you'll see how easy it is for one idiot to get lost in the woods. Sorry, lost in the fields. I've already had to do a stupid dance because I've worn the wrong socks, and it managed to come right down my foot inside my wellies. So I did a strange one-legged hopping dance so I didn't have to get my foot wet. I managed it. I don't think I've stayed so long on one leg since I used to juggle. Now, one thing I will say is that there are going to be quite a few 2 milli I'm going to miss just because of the terrain. I got a feeling there's some just over there, but you know, it means I'd probably spend all time around just one area trying to seek out the 2 milli rather than just walk and point them out as I see them or come across them. So that's what I'm going to do. This path goes, as you see, through the earthwork, which I'm not quite sure what the earthwork was for. Might have been an old fort maybe, but it goes from here on the ridgeway and crosses over and meets up with the Stike, thus triangulating it, you know, with where it crossed, where the crossing point was, which if I can suss it out on the way back, because it's not very clear, because the ridgeway kind of disappears into the Stike, as it were. It's like they cross but they join at the same time, and I don't think they would have done that. But maybe they would. Maybe that is where it starts. But I know if you see on a map and it says Roman road, it's not a Roman road. They didn't come here and build roads, because the roads were already here. Here we are, walking on Albion again. I do think that I'm actually going to start calling this place Albion, because it's what I know. I lived on the chalklands. I've grown up on the chalklands. White is the colour. Now, up beyond the peak of where we're looking now is another tumulus, which I may be able to see when we're coming back along the other way. But we're heading out along here now, and basically in well, we're gonna have to walk quite a bit. Well, I say quite a bit, probably about maybe half a mile to a mile, and there should be getting on for a dozen. So let's see if we can find them. So as you can see, with lots of rain, it becomes a little bit well, almost non-negotiable. So I'm going to leave you to imagine what I might have to do to get through to the other end. Okay. Now, if you're watching this and you like sunny skies, you've probably actually clicked off by now, but there are so many people I keep coming across who love it when the weather's like this. I think it might be a bit of a backlash against the way the modern world is, because this is often the kind of weather when hardly anyone is out. So if you come out into the countryside when the weather's like this, no one's about, you can get lost in your own thoughts, and it's great. That's an interesting little bit down in there, isn't it? Not quite sure what that is. It reminds me of what's it called, the area on below Uffington near Dragon Hill that's called the Manger. A little bit of a flat area like that. So it's got something to do with glaciers. Don't know, it suddenly stops, doesn't it? Yeah, who knows? If anyone knows, leave a comment, because I'm interested. As you can see, it's a well-worn track, this. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, this is the area that I grew up. I mean, this is basically my back garden, you know, or front garden and side garden, however you want to see it. This is part of the area where I was at large, and obviously still am today. Nice bit of symmetrical flint. A bit of a wishbone. One of the things I do remember is coming for a sponsored walk with the school along here, or along part of here anyway, and I was with these lads who were obviously they were rugby players, and you know, all a bit you know, full of themselves with the girls and that. And anyway, we were walking along with these two. Well, at the time when we were, what, 12, 13, they were kind of two quite attractive girls in our class. Anyway, there's these two rugby players flirting with them and stuff. And the next thing I know, I had one on either side of me for the rest of the walk. So no wonder I remembered that one, eh? Okay, now this is it. I think it may be too high. So what we've got here is there's a load of trees coming down, as you can see there, and somewhere there, somewhere, where are we? Yeah, so somewhere about just over the ridge there is another round barrow. They're called tumulus, or tumuli if there's more than one. Obviously it's a Latin name, so I'm going to call them round barrows. Nothing against my Italian friends, I love dearly. It's not a, it's like, I'm reclaiming what's been stolen, that's all. Like Albion, it was known as Albion by the Romans, in fact. So yeah, so in between, just over, now you can see there's another set of woods behind, and in between the two there's about 5 or 6 round barrows, and it looks like we're going to be able to spot them, so let's keep our fingers crossed. Goat lash in the mud, isn't it? There we go, well, 2 are visible. There is another 2 or 3 just behind there, so I'll go along this private farm track, no right of way, to see if I can get a shot, which clearly I can. I'm not going to zoom in because, well, let's zoom in for you. That's what you came for, isn't it? There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the road, that's the dividers to Avebury Road, which when it meets at the end, it meets this row of hills coming down, and just over there is the World Heritage Site of Avebury. Now if you were here with me, what you would have just been smelling is fox, because I thought to myself, I can smell skunk. Skunk, who's out here smoking? And then I twigged, it's a similar smell, that mustiness that hangs in the air after skunk in a while becomes a bit musty, and I've just smelt fox, so I know there's fox along here. Anyway, right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to head to the woods there, of which you can probably see there is a track. I don't know if you can make that out, but let's do a bit of sheep voyeuring. There we go. So we're going to go to the woods, and there is a track following, or a path following the woods right down there, and almost to the road. I hope you're enjoying being out here as much as I am. I only wish there was less noise of people, but it is the Yuletide holidays, so it's like, whether it's like work noise or holiday noise, there's noise of vehicles, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, there is a road just behind those hills, obviously down the other side, and maybe not quite as far as we are away from it, but yeah, so anyway. Well, I'm not halfway round, for anyone who's interested in distances. I mean, I probably, by the time I reach the end of the track there, that's probably about halfway. There you go, there's another barrow. See, the 4 or 5 are in there, and this bit's been fenced off, and there's at least one. There are more. I see there's a farm vehicle at the end, and I kind of resent that farmers are going, you know, this is my land, because actually it's not. But that'll get onto my philosophy of life and living for the benefit of all. I don't want to do that in this video, but yeah, so it's I mean, partly it's like they're, because there are thieves, it makes people do to the negative, which also pisses me off. You know, it just does, because the reason we have thieves is because of greed, and the reason we have greed, it leads to, not the reason, but having greed leads to capitalism and fucking people over, and you know, doing people over. If I can quote EastEnders, which is a popular British soap that does link to my past. The bloke who wrote the theme tune went to my school and grew up in the same town as me, so there you go. So hence, you know, all these things, my coincidental life. Back in the 80s, there was a character called Ali Osman, and he ran a taxi firm and the local cafe, and people would say, people would come in and say, Ali, and he'd go, yes mate, what can I do you for? And that basically sums up the 80s and sums up why things are happening in modern day times. But anyway, there you go, I've linked the ancient and the new. So we've reached the track, which is a byway. Now if we carry along the ridgeway, we will meet the glorious gentle stone circle that's been ripped apart by Christians, called Avebury. Anyone care to elaborate on what I think about it? So yeah, so here we are. This is on the track by the side of that wood. Now I'm wondering whether this is a perfect time for a cup of tea. Do you fancy one? Cup of tea. There you go, what a lovely sight that is. I was just thinking that this is basically what I spent my youth doing. I'd get up at whatever time, have a cup of tea, maybe some breakfast, I don't remember. Eating breakfast is not something I do remember doing until recent times, and then I'd just disappear off into the countryside with, you know, a bag of food, a bag of food and drink. Quite regularly, me and an old friend who lived just across the park from me, we'd just disappear out into the countryside with a bag of trail mix and other goodies, and spend our time sat in the fields for the afternoon. And now that we're nearer to there, I'm not sure if you can make out the earthwork top of that hill, which clearly shows signs of being made into like ditches and walls and ditches. I'll zoom in and see. Let's see if I can zoom in. That might be too far, eh? How's that? May not actually be that visible, or that clear. Sorry, because I can't control the weather yet. There are some buds that's out in the field there. One's just inside, and my fingers too. One's about there, I think, and another one's flown off there. Okay, so we're going to go up here. This is the second line of trees. We're going to go up here, and when we reach the end, we'll be nearer the road, sadly, and then we'll turn we'll turn right and head back. I love old bits of farm machinery. Much as I rant about farming, I like metal in nature. Or even at home. I speak musically, of course. Well, you can see it opens out now. While we're here, as soon as I'm providing information, nothing that the authorities would want to know, of course, but that road, obviously it's far busier than when it was when I just learnt to drive, but basically that's the road we used to go and test our vehicles on. You know, see how fast we could drive them. But hey, that's not something that you should ever be doing. And there in the middle of the shot there, that's a group of 2 or 3 barrows, might be 3, and they're right by the road, and they are interesting in terms of things from the past. Apart from the fact that they're just round barrows, there's another importance personally for them, and that is that they mark the site of where I saw my first crop circle back in 1980. Might have been 79, but 79-80, because my father took me there to show me that place with all the trees round it over there. That's called Baltic Farm. So I'd like to do a big shout out to all my Baltic friends. So hi. You aren't lost out there, we know all about Baltic. And obviously, if you any idea about Wiltshire, all over those hills, there's more than, you know, there's more than I'm going to do today. So I will be out there at some point as well, many times. That's what's behind us. Oh, you can clearly see the Barrows, look, over there, the little humps on the horizon. Now before they disappear, around there, can you see the lumps on the horizon? 2 lumps. There's a tumulus there, possibly 2, but also somewhere over there is a long barrow, or 2 actually. There's 2 long barrows over there, but I don't think I'm going to have time to go over there today, because looking at the terrain and the terrain I've been, because we're not even halfway yet, so I'll save that for another day, because there's still plenty of routes to go and see stuff. You might be fooled for thinking that this is a Anthony Caro installation sculpture, but don't think so. I have no idea what it is. Obviously it's some kind of container, maybe a bit of a furnace thing, isn't it? Are these? Yeah, they move. Is it a furnace? There's no entry for anything, so I don't know what that is. The peaceful rhythmic sound of the road, just what you want on a walk in the middle of nowhere. I know, quite clearly it isn't. I know I said earlier that there's Avebury over there, but also if you go right you get to Merlin's Barrow and Marlborough, Silbury Hill, West Kennet Long Barrow, East Kennet Long Barrow, Swallowhead Springs, plus all the other stuff that's out there. And that's where my Secret Sights of Avebury video was filmed. Now I've just had a look at my map, because I thought there were more. See where the 3 barrows are at the end there? That's the 3 barrows, but somewhere around where my finger is, not in this field, but beyond that metal box thing, which is about there, just beyond it in that field, there's another 2 tumuli, but they've obviously disappeared. And one thing you can't hear, and I can't get over the sound of the traffic, is the sound of the skylarks. And most people associate skylarks with the summer, but they're really loud. You know, there's quite a lot still here today, all tweeting away, not just on this bit of the track, but on other bits. Now, between this building and the next Baltic farm, I'm sure that's part of Baltic farm, there is a tumulus in between the field, which I'll see if I can see. I mean, I think that's it. If I can get there before my battery dies. Yeah, I think that's it. In the middle of the shot there, on the horizon, that's another tumulus. And those missing tumulus, this is what I mean about farmers. So they come out going, "Oi, what are you doing?" You know, under the pretense of keeping an eye out for thieves, but actually, because I'm monitoring this, and these tumuli are sort of slowly disappearing from the maps. That's why on more recent maps you only find about 23, I think, whereas on my old map that I've got, there's at least 33. Well, that just proves it. There's 2 that are missing. Not to mention some others that are missing over there. So yeah, that's why I'm not happy with farmers. Eradication of history is not something I advocate. Here's something I've never seen. All those white sticks in the field there. Can you see them? Some have got a bit of a yellow tag. You can clearly see the earthwork of the one Stike that we will get onto in a minute. Now down at the bottom here where it meets the road is another tumulus, and if I zoom in a little bit, what you should be able to see is bits of the one Stike there, which then goes across the road and up the hill. But if you follow straight on over there, that way, where the road junction meets, and a little back from it, maybe 50 metres, 100 metres, is another long barrow. There's a long barrow on the hilltop there, which you might be able to just make out below just jutting out from the trees there. And there's 2 long barrows over there and more tumuli. So behind is the tumulus I was on about, and following the same line, just in there, just in that dip somehow, is an enclosure, which it's something I don't know, but I think it's to do with old farming, isn't it? Of some kind. I'm not particularly up on that, so you know, you can do your own research. I jest. Well, I've just had a lovely sandwich, cheese and pickle. But let's show you this, because I don't often see this. I'm pretty sure this is a dogwood. Look, a pile of chalk. Can you imagine what Silbury Hill would have looked like when it was first made? And all the earthworks round here, they would have gleamed white. There's the one Stike clearly seen. I don't know if you can make out all the... It's like a rainbow colour at the side of the field there. Isn't that interesting? An old friend did say to me, said whenever we go out in the countryside, and specifically with me, she said something magical always happens. And there you go, rainbow in the field. Well, I've come down here for you lot. I don't mean you lot in a horrible way, I mean for you. Just to show you. Now can you imagine, and this is one Stike. Can you imagine what this would have been like when it was first dug out? This would just be a valley of white. You know all the birds? How they're gone now. Well, there they are. Into the mist. This is actually my favourite bit of the whole walk. And look at this. Lo and behold, it's got trees. Well, while I'm doing this, because a lot of places have got a lot of history for me and stuff that I can tell you about. So the one Stike goes up here, does it? We have to follow the other path though, I think. But this looks like, yeah, doesn't look like there's an entry there. But this looks like the kind of place where some travellers might have camped up at some point back in the 80s. That's the video I will do. It's just taking a long time to piece together everything that I need for it. But this is more of the one Stike here, but I can't get into it. Let's see. Let's follow this bit of a track, path, whatever you want to call it. No, it's hard to get to. Oh well. Now, according to my map, there should be a tumulus here, but I can't find it. So there's a, yeah. Anyway, according to the map, right, that's the one Stike going down there, which we've just been down briefly. Now this is the track going to Baltic Farm, and this is the track that if you follow it, it comes to the road where I'm parked off of. So we need to go over here to the one Stike, but it's looking blocked off. So this is something I like, having to find my way through some scrabbly bits. There we go. I think that might be the path, eh? Up through in there, up through in there, through up in there, through there. Not through up in there, that doesn't sound very nice, does it? Oh yeah, there we go, there it is. So let's head there. There, here we are on the one Stike. I'm going to walk along the top because it may give us some some views, but I'm not holding my breath, as you can probably hear. I don't know whether to go walk in it or along the top. I'm warm enough to walk along the top. Had it been a cold wind, icy wind blowing, I may not. But one thing is quite good about it. It means that with all the mist, I will need to come out here another day when it's not misty. This happened with my other video about secret sites of Avebury, where the mist closed in and I didn't know where I was, but I was also on the one Stike. Only I was on the one Stike, where is it? Over there. I was on the one Stike quite a few miles over there when I got lost before. But yeah, what I was going to say is, just in front of us here, if you imagine looking at a diamond or a square on its point, that's where the enclosure is. And I can't see any signs today, but you know, I'm not expecting to see much. So yeah, so let's go down through here. Well, it's amazing how the mist makes you lose your bearings, isn't it? I was looking for that tumulus in the wrong field. It was just after we got into the one Stike. It was sort of on the right hand side of where the camera was pointing as we got in. Well, with the, I love it with the mist. I was just thinking, everything that you can see, all the banks and what I'm walking on, that would have been completely white. So I'll leave that bit to your imagination. I do actually remember walking this as a young child, very young. But I can't give you any more history about it or facts about it other than it was built around the time between the Saxons and the Romans. So what's that? About AD 79 is the official time, isn't it? So, but I can't tell you how long it is. I know the ridgeway goes at least from here all the way to almost to Henley. It might even go, it's probably further than that, to be honest. It probably crosses one side of the country to the other. But that's all all the info that I can give you. One thing that is worth thinking about is that, how was this dug out? How long did it take? How many people were involved? You know, were they slaves? Were they slaves from here? Were they Britons who were slaves? Were they people from other parts of the world? Because this is a lot of work. I mean, I kind of often dig professionally. I'll tell you, this will take some doing, especially the amount of area that it covers, or length that it covers. And what you also have to remember is, when you dig soil out, for some weird reason it expands, so you always end up with more out than will fill it, if you see what I mean. Looking back towards where we've come from. Now, is this because people would rather be up high because they feel safer and they can see more, or is it a case of people following where other people have gone? Chicken and the egg, isn't it? All the other tumuli had either gone or they're lost in the mist. I couldn't work out which. So that's why you haven't seen any more. But I think we've passed another 5 or 6 since I mentioned the one where we came onto the one Stike. There's also, actually, somewhere over there, seeing as we're here, and I couldn't see that either, somewhere over in that field there is a long barrow. Again, hidden in the murk. In some ways it's quite good it's misty, because we'd be able to see those 2 towers. Which, the only reason I could spot them is because I must have felt them somehow and happened to look over there. But this is Morgan's Hill. I don't know what it's got to do with Arthur, but I don't care because I still like it. As you can see, I've come above so that I can see where I'm going, because it's got quite, well, as you can see, visibility has become invisible. Anyway, yeah, so if I don't do any more in this video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ta-da!